All right, Owa. So yeah, this is Taffy. This is finally a face to a name. Two things to start with. First of all, I apologize about the poor camera quality. Um, I do have a decent camera somewhere. I have no idea where it is, so I'm just stuck with this webcam, which I can't remember how many years I've had it, but this is why this seems to have this sort of a grainy, low frame rate of naughties, hot girls, fucking cam porn video from you see on those free websites. The second thing is, right, those of you that know me will understand this sentiment, right? Every time you hear Taffy say the word fuck, you drink. And every time I go off on a tangent, on a bit of a weird one, I drink. It's up to you to call me out in the comment sections, but that cam girl sort of comment was definitely one of them. So I wanted to dispel a lot of the misinformation around over EXP and leveling system because I've heard quite a lot of bullshit going around about this. So I want to cover off on exactly how the leveling system works mechanically, what it is, what it isn't, and ultimately what is its intent and purpose, right? So first off, let's start with what it does mechanically apart from changing your name a funny color, right? It has a limited relevance to advancement on this server, but it does, at least at the earlier level, start to open up a couple of channels and options and availabilities to you. So I'm going to go through each of them in turn because there are a couple of changes that are going to be coming in now. So I'm not going to talk about the system as it sits now, but the system that I'm going to be adjusting it to, sort of thing. So level 2, yellow, 105 EXP. So at this level, it allows you to post in scheduling. It allows you to create your unique invite code, which I'll get into what the fuck that actually means in a moment. But it gives you access to the non-tabletop RPG-based categories, such, well, at the moment, we've only got Creative Corner. Why have I got the keyboard on me? Don't need that now. Now I know you can hear me. But it's we've got the Creative Corner, but there will be other things coming as well. I've already had somebody approach me about a Pokemon category. They want to front that. Brilliant. And what the hell is it? Minecraft as well. I've had somebody approach me about that. Oddly enough, it's the same person twice. So, well, fuck. But we'll see. Maybe they can handle both. Who knows, right? Look, incidentally, right? What you'll find, right, is that there's an awful lot of people that'll tell you quite happily how this server should be run and how certain things should be run on this server. But when it comes to actually running stuff, you'll notice that all of those voices will go very, very quiet. Uncanny, isn't it? Look, the long and short of it, guys, look, if anything you want to run, anything that you have passionate enough that you feel that you could pour yourself into, please DM me. I am actively looking for you. You're just fucking hard to find, right? I won't find you just by scanning. There is over 1,000 people in this server. If you're generally keen on something and you believe that you can build something with the support networks that we have in place, please let me know, right? Anyway, that was definitely a tangent. So, level 3. Sorry, I stand corrected. What it will become is level 5. Relax, everyone relax. So we're already green. Those of you who have made you got your greenie, you're going to stay greeny. You will maintain all the benefits and stuff like that. This is just for the people that are going to come after you, right? It's just to bring it into line with a lot of the changes, the permissions, right? So level 5, green, 480 EXP. So this gives you access to the academy, which is through the level 5 hype channel. It still says level 3, but it will get changed to level 5. You react to the academy in there, you get to join the academy and you get to do all the cool shit that's in there, right? You know, they've got heaps of resources and support, including coaching, training programs, webinars, fucking everything, right? And run by our illustrious academy manager, Saint Cryptol. That fucking gentleman. Or an absolute savage that man is. Incidentally, want to point out, give him a bit of a shout out to you. A lot of people don't realize the amount of graft he puts into this server. It's not as clear as some people's efforts, but there is a lot. That man is probably stretched himself a little bit bloody thin, and I have told him off about that because, you know, the problem with driven people is they stretch themselves too thin. And when they do so, they become very susceptible and to, well, everything. You become thin-skinned and very sensitive and touchy, and fucking shit gets you that probably shouldn't. Tangent. Aside from that, level 5 is also the minimum level, or will be now, the minimum level for GM. So I just want to make, just to hammer in fully clearly that, it's not you hit a certain rank and then you automatically become GM. No. So it's the same level to enter the academy, and it's the same level to graduate from the academy, just to make sure that the emphasis is very bloody clear that getting through the academy has got piss all to do with your fucking level. Right? Next up, and last of all, and literally last of all, is Cyan, level 20, right? 3,705 EXP, which sounds like an awful lot, but really isn't, when you really break it down. The only thing that level 20 gives you access to, I mean, if you're a player, when I say you're very, very welcome to be here, play games, get involved in stuff, and, sort of do your own thing here without actually getting involved in the management or the building process. That's fine. You are welcome to be here. That is expected to be the vast majority of the people here. But for you guys hitting Cyan, is all that really does is it gives you access to the server add emojis channel, which is the server level 20 hype, but it only does one thing, so I labeled it as such, where you get to post emojis and then they get added to the server emoji list, right? Excuse me. And that's basically it for you. But those of you who are trying to get on, level 20, Cyan, is the minimum to have your own category. So that's the thing that sort of opened doors for have your own sort of West Marches. Obviously, if you run a successful one and you want to run a second one, that needs to go to the GM managers. At the moment, that's sort of between Macbeth and Skelly, between the two of those, or Celta Paul. I wish that man would stop changing his name. So yeah, pitch the idea to them. This is what I want to do. Obviously, if you're proven and proven GM, you got a lot of following, that's going to give you props to get that category. And obviously, if your idea, it sounds so fucking awesome, they can't help but not grant it. That too, obviously, props. Will give you obviously pips towards that, right? Cyan isn't guaranteed to get your own category. You also need a good idea and to at least give the impression that you got the drive to carry it through, right? Because it's not as simple as just building it and they'll come. You've got to put a lot of work into that, right? To generate some sort of momentum behind it. It's fucking hard, right? Trust me, I've built an entire fucking server off that stuff. Myself and a lot of other fucking people on this server as well. I think that's 2 drinks to the people who are drinking when I say fuck. That's the third one. And that's basically it. That's the long and short of it. That is the entire structure. That's all this stuff. Now, how you gain EXP, I suppose that's the other side of it. It's multitude of different ways. The first thing is chat EXP. 5 EXP per post, maximum of 150 per day. Small but steady. There's the recruitment EXP. And I want to be absolutely clear on this, right? The EXP system is not about recruitment, right? Well, it is, but it isn't, right? Let me put it this way. Saki has recruited 700 people. If you did piss all from the moment you hit level 3, although that's level 5 now, but hit level 3 until it did nothing but recruit until you hit Cyan, that is 7 invites. So Saki has recruited the equivalent of 100 level 20s. How much of a blip on the scale do you think you're going to make by this? It's not about that. It's about building towards this. I'll get into that a bit later, but it isn't about recruitment. It sort of is, because it also contributes, even in a small, although albeit in a small way, towards the exponential growth, which is what we need if we are to ever reach 1 million, right? And we fucking will. For those of you who don't know me now. I will do it. I will fucking do it. So the other thing as well is training. This is a big one as well. This is one that doesn't get exploited enough. Right? If you run a training session to play a tabletop, how to play a tabletop game, or how to run a tabletop game, it doesn't matter if they're already an established GM base, that you're bringing in other, GMs that play 5e and you train them to do VTM or, cross one table or another. Any form of training either to play or to GM. DM, I would say, when it comes to, I'm still not quite sure what's happening with Skelly, and it's a little bit up in the air when it comes to the GM manager. So if you are a GM, can you DM me? Just send me a screenshot of the game posting and of the voice chat showing the list of names in the chat that have turned up, and away you go. It's 1,000 EXP for that. If you're a TGM running a training section, can you continue to send that through to Saint Crypto? But if you just DM that through to Saint, Bob's your mother's brother, right? Brilliant stuff. Graduating GMs, that's the last thing. This is another thing as well that not a few of you will be aware of, actually. So when a GM graduates from the academy, there is 5,000 EXP up for grabs that will be distributed at Saint's discretion, right? So it's to be distributed depending on how much involvement each person has had in that person's development, right? So that means if there's only one person that have had anything involved in it, if you're the person that brought that person into the academy and you've trained them up yourself, it doesn't matter if you're green, right? It doesn't matter. If you have done that and you put those works in, you will get the full 5,000 EXP. You get it all to yourself, and that's your category and then some, right? That's it. That's all the mechanics. That's all it is to it. Any more than that is assumptive and wrong. It is absolutely just completely wrong, because EXP and level is absolutely not the be all and end all in advancement in this clan. I mean, look, if you want to be a GMC, right, fuck the leveling system, right? That's another drink for you. If you want to teach, just get on with it, right? Learn to become a great GM. And if you're already a great GM, the next step is to learn to teach those skills. And if you already know how to teach those skills, well, then start doing it, stupid. How long do you think it's going to be when you're consistently banging out GMs before we just label the shit you're already doing? Look, you don't need a level to do that. And by the time you've graduated, well, it was already established, by the time you've graduated one GM, you're already bloody blue anyway, right? Doesn't matter. Whatever it is you want to do on here, start doing it, right? If you want to run a category, DM me, right? If you've got ideas, if you've got big ideas about things that would be great beneficial to Bob's your uncle. Yeah, Bob's your mother's brother. Anyway, so that's what it's not. That's what it is. That's what it is mechanically. So to try and explain to you the spirit behind this all, this is probably the most complex thing. And I could probably start with a proverb. There's a lot of different interpretations of this proverb, of different iterations of it. But I'm going to give you mine, right? So a travelling man is travelling along the road, and as he travels along the road, he spots a few people cutting stone and stacking blocks. And he stops and he watches this first fella cutting the stone to, perfect square. And as he's doing this, he's sort of grumbling and looking up at the sun. I'm sighing and, when is this bloody day going to end? So he goes up to the fella and he goes, what are you doing? What does it look like I'm doing? I'm cutting stone. Fair enough. I'll leave you to it. Carries on his way. And sure enough, further down the line, he spots another man, also cutting stone. But this man is sort of doing it with a certain sense of pride. Very enthralled in it. He looks up at the sun with a smile and wipes the sweat off his brow. Carries on cutting. And then the traveller asks him, what are you doing, sir? And he looks up and he smiles and he says, I'm building a cathedral. You see, this EXP system is not about getting the numbers in. It's not necessarily about the training. It's about being involved in its construction of the server. It's about gaining a sense of ownership. Right? It's about the right attitude with it. So whether it be bringing people in, and yes, the Patreon gives you certain levels as well, because you're supporting it financially. You're still supporting, you're still helping it, funding it. Mark isn't free. I've put 300 quid of my own money into it, right? And, any money that beyond his sort of cost is going to be going to the meetup, which is another topic altogether. There'll be another vlog once I have more information on it, but we are having a big meetup. There's going to be a big ass fucking get together. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a big fucking driver for us, and I'm going to make us undeniable in the world. You wait for it. Just watch this space. But yeah, and it's the other thing as well when it comes to the training side of things, right? If you don't realize the power in that, right? Nobody forgets their first GM, particularly if it was a good one, right? Nobody sort of forgets that teacher that taught them a few skills. Do you know, right? I had somebody just the other day, right? It was just less than a fucking week ago. I can't remember which day it was now, because me, days, short-term memory, out the fucking window. But they said to me that they were in a dark point in their life, and they were, sort of going through depression, going through some, bad spot in their life, and they came to Tabletop Arcade, and they found a sense of purpose here, and very, very much invested in the place, and they wanted to thank me for that. That, this server became that little bit of a light in the darkness for them. Shit, do you have any idea how amazing that felt to hear those words? And yes, that's it. That person totally gets this sense of community that I'm going for. But yeah, no, fucking seriously, mate, it just blew my fucking mind. I thought, is that really the amount of fucking impact we're having? I kind of know, it reminds me of when I started managing in the sales industry, right? And yeah, this sort of young, this young fella, and I, sort of trained him up. I taught him to sell, and I didn't realize where I was sort of teaching him sales skills, that in actual fact he was learning life skills from me as well alongside it. It was just naturally happens. The same as when you're teaching somebody to GM. These are life skills, right? You're teaching them how to present, how to speak to a group of people, how to be confident, in the controlling sort of point of a conversation, of a group of people, and this boy in the same way, and he had a similar discussion with me as well. He said that you will never appreciate how much you've taught me, how much I'll never forget, and I just, it's just crazy. You don't realize it. And that's the sort of thing, and this is where the sort of peer-to-peer learning sort of comes into it, right? Where an experienced GM teaches a less experienced GM, where a fresh GM is teaching the basic mechanics to a fresh TGM, and so on and so up and so on. Because it builds these bonds, right? Because the biggest failing with trying to get 1 million people, by the way, right, is it is basically a theory in psychology. It's called Dunbar's number, right? Which is the maximum number of social bonds that you can create, right? This entire thing about the academy, about the peer-to-peer learning and stuff like this, it's all based about creating these sort of bonds, right? So the minimum, it's between 100 and 250. I don't want to get too much into the sort of theory of it all, but it's between 100 and 250 people that you can make social bonds with. Now, bear in mind that we're all a bunch of fucking nerds, right? And despite whatever social skills some of us might have, we like nothing more than solitude, and I think most of us has thrived pretty well in this lockdown, right? With a certain ping of guilt alongside it when we see all our extroverted friends crawling up the fucking walls, right? That's another drink as well for you, and another drink for me as my mind just went blank. Anyway, I'm going off topic. The point is, right, the entire EXP system is about just showing some contribution into building this thing, right? Whether it be bringing in new people, whether it be training new players, whether it be training new GMs, whatever it may be, just being involved in chat and keeping the momentum going, right? Because there's two questions I ask myself when it comes to making this 1 million fucking people, right? You come down to this. Is this motherfucker right here? When everybody wakes up first thing in the morning, the first thing they do is they check their phone. Now, there's normally 1 or 2 apps that they will check, right? It could be Facebook, it could be Twitter, it could be Reddit, it could be YouTube, it could be anything, right? Whatever it may be. There's 2 questions I'm constantly asking myself with this, right? How do I get 1 million people into you? And how do I get our platform to be one of those apps for most of those people? And that's the questions I'm constantly asking myself. Because that's how I'm going to get us there. That's how I'm going to get us there. So the way I'm sort of looking at this in 2 things is, one of the things of breaking this up into basically categories, right? And the subcultures. So it's a way of sort of bypassing Dunbar's law, right? So we're on the back end of the scale. So you imagine 100 people, but that includes your friends and family. So you've probably only got about 60, 80 people on this server maximum you can create a social bond with. Beyond that, it just becomes white noise. So the idea of breaking it down so you have particular categories and things like that is you can create your little subcultures, right? Your own little cliques, your little, small, I've got a group of friends here and I've got a group of friends there, and I've got 1 or 2 people that are in both groups as well, and, we're besties. And that's basically how it operates, right? Along the way that when you get into the places like the academy as well, is that you got people that teach you and you got people that you teach. And that also creates those bonds as well. And when you introduce some people in, so like the advertising is a good thing because it helps with growth, but then it's a bit of an uphill battle to bring those people into the server, because apart from like maybe the way that Saki does it a little bit different, I know, because she has them DM them as well, so she has a little bit of an interaction with them as well, so that creates a little bit more stickability. Incidentally, that's how she's doing it, by the way. She speaks to every single person before they come in. So take note, anybody that wants to chase her, and maintain a retention rate as well. But yeah, there's that, you know, it's when you bring in somebody in the way that I've done it, the way that most people have done it that have got like purple and pink over a long period of time. That's the way they've done it. They've brought players in from Roll20 from outside. They have shown them the ropes and they've trained them and they've DM'd for them, right? You make yourself that first DM. That DM that they never forget. See? It's great for creating bonds. And that's the way that I would like to do it. Anybody that reaches Cyan, that's the way I would prefer them do it. Because that means it instantly creates those bonds then. That social sort of bond in between it, where it's that you're their first GM. You're their first GM that they never forget. So when it comes to you running a game, these people that you've brought in are jumping straight on that thing. When you're running a West March, when you've got this really weird and funky elaborate idea and you're not quite sure if anybody's going to really get it, when you post that up, all those players that you've brought in that have that bond with you, you're their first GM and they'll never forget that first experience of tabletop gaming. They're going to be jumping straight on that West March. And that's it, guys. That's the EXP system. Questions? Cheers, guys. Love you all very much. Ta-ra.